Hi everyone, here we are again, still in the studio, stuff happening outside, noisy, and I've got the aircon, why not? Episode 8, love me, no, make me love you even. What a predicament we left it last time. We just found out that pretty woman who works in the shop opposite our bar has got another boyfriend she's had longer, and the fact he's from Germany as well, same as Leon. That's spooky. Leon gave her money to learn English, and it looks like she already can speak English. So she just pocketed that for sure. Not looking good. Not looking good. That's Marmalade. Only cat in here today. He turns back up about a week later. And it's in the evening. Just starting. It's quite early. He was actually there before 7, I think. So he was actually early. Really excited to see pretty woman. Anyway, he came in and he's like, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, "Hey, how's it going, Leon?" Usual. He says, "Where's my girl?" I said, "Which girl?" "Pretty woman, you know." I said, "Oh, right." And I was just doing something, I'm sure. I said, I'll come and chat in about 10 minutes. And of course, Frozen's like behind me, sort of laughing, sort of giggling about it. I had to tell him, as the bar manager, if it had been one of our staff, then it would have been a Mama San's job, and it would have been up to them to conceal it. But he'd become a friend, and I liked Leon. He was different. He was different. So I did whatever I was doing, and then I came back, sat down. He'd got a drink, and I had to tell him. And blunt as anything, straight out, Leon. It turns out pretty woman can speak English, and she's gone off with another guy who she's already been seeing, and he's German, and she's been seeing him for a long time. And he's like, "What? How do you know?" And I explained that Frozen had spoke to her, and we saw her go, and what she'd said, that she actually liked you more than the other guy. And "I can't believe it," he said. "I just can't believe it," he said. "She seems so nice and sweet and honest." He's like, oh, I've had enough. And he asked for his bill, and I said, "Where you going?" He said, "I've just had enough." He paid his bill, walked out. And Frozen came straight over to me. "What did you say? What did you tell him? Why's he gone?" I just told him the truth. She said, "You're stupid. Should not have told him." I'm like, "What? You told me to tell him," and I agreed. And he walked. He just I'm totally shocked. I'm like, I did not expect that. And yeah, he walked out the door. Just disappeared. Now, we'd been running this bar probably a couple of months by this time. And as the bar got successful, the two people I work for, a Thai husband and wife, who had other businesses. The husband, I've done the story on one of my videos where he got jealous and he wanted to take the bar over. So about 3 months in, and Leon had disappeared, the husband took the bar over. I got another manager in for him, another Farang. And the wife got a property, leased a property, and was converting it to what became Soy 7 Fun Bar in Soy 7 along the beach. And I relocated, and after 3 months, we got that bar open, and we took Frozen with us, and most of the girls had gone off or stayed, but no, most of them had gone. So we had a load of new girls, but a few girls stayed and came back to the new bar. And Leon had gone. He just disappeared. We opened the new bar, and the first month, so maybe 4 months since I saw Leon, the bar was doing well. It was great. And completely out of the blue, And that bar, again, I was living above. I had a better room, balcony. It was lovely. I could just about peep over the edge and see the beach and the sea. So 4 months have gone by without seeing Leon. We're in the new location. Well, I'm in the new location in Soy 7. And I have no idea what happened to him, apart from him walking off and just gone. It's morning. I'm kicking around about 10 in the morning, just sorting bits and pieces out with setting a new bar, things like pool tables arriving and all these usual stuff. And the bar's ticking over. We're getting a few customers in the morning for a coffee and stuff. So we're only 100 meters, if that, from the beach. So really good. And suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, a guy walks in. I turn around and it's Leon. And this is in the morning. And it must be, maybe 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I turn around and I'm like, Leon. And he's like, oh, Simon. I said, how did you find us? He said, I'm doing my daily walk around the streets to see what's happening. And I just saw the coffee machine. So I've come in for a coffee. Okay. Well, he said, what are you doing here? I went, sat down and chatted to him, told him what had happened with the bar and the owner and all this. And he's like, oh, okay. Brilliant. He said, so I can come back here tonight and start meeting all your girls. And I immediately like, where have you been? Why did you walk out? Why did you just disappear? What happened in your head? And he just said, I just snapped. He said, I honestly thought this new type of girl was possibly the way forward. I said, okay. So you just a bit upset and you disappeared. He said, yes. So it wasn't us. He said, no. I said, and I had to tell you, be honest with you. And he said, I appreciate that. I said, so what's been happening? He said, oh, I'm living in the condo now. I'm working. I'm pretty much staying here more. Rather than going to Bangkok and staying in Bangkok, I can work from this condo and then just travel from here. So he said, I'm actually getting a week to 10 days every month off. He said, so it's great. He said, I've just come back. This is like the first day back. I said, brilliant. So I said, how's the hunt going? Have you continued with shop girls, etc.? What have you been doing? What's happening? And I wanted to know. And he went, oh, okay, he said. And he opened his thing and he went, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I've seen 25 girls or whatever in this month, and I've seen 20 in this, and loads of girls. So it's 4 months, maybe more, since I've seen him, and there's 100 plus girls in his book. I'm like, wow, you don't hang around. I said, so where are all these girls from? He said, I'll tell you later. He said, I'll come tonight and we'll have a chat tonight. He said, I've still got my walk to do and time is going on, and I didn't anticipate sitting in one place for a longer time. Okay. Off he went, drunk his coffee, gone. Night time, we were really busy, and as the manager, you're going floating around chatting to people and keeping an eye on everything. And he strolled in 7:30. Now, Soy 7 bar, we only had about 5 the taller tables that you could stand around. We did have the high chairs with them, and some chairs along the bars at the front, and a pool table up the stairs, and a few tables. So we probably could fit about 50 people in there. We must have had about 30 every night, and especially sort of 7:30 time, people tended to do a pub crawl, and they'd go down Soy 8, come up Soy 7, or vice versa, on their way to Walking Street or wherever in those days. So we were always busy early evening. But he came in. Anyway, I managed to sit down at the bar with him for a bit and chat. And Frozen wasn't there in the morning, but in the evening she was. And he's, hello, Frozen, how are you? And he starts clocking all our girls. We had about 15 girls, I think, in that bar. Maybe 3 or 4 were from the older bar, but a lot of new ones. And he's like, oh, I said, are you still doing girls in the bars? He said, oh yeah, especially if they're new. And he looking around and he said, oh, you've got lots of new. I said, about 10. And he went, oh, I recognise that one. Hang on. And he goes to his book, through cartoon picture. Look, I've been with that one. She was new to us. And I went, that's fabulous. You can work out which girls you've been with. Okay. And he said, oh, this is great. That's about 10 new girls, 9 new girls for me to see. I said, come on, tell me what's been happening with the shop girls. Have you ever been back and seen Pretty Woman? And he said to me, yes. I went, okay. What happened? Did you go and confront her? And he said, I'm German. Yes. I said, what happened? Tell me about that first. And he'd gone back a couple of months later, and she was so happy to see him. And he said, I just said to her, I know where you've been and what happened. And he said, Simon told me. And she's like, okay. And he said she spoke English to me and she admitted everything. And then she said that she'd finished with the guy. And I said that I wasn't interested. She had not told me the truth. And I'd given her money to learn English that she already knew. Was she going to give it me back? And she said no. So he said goodbye and walked away. Can I have my money back for teaching you English? Yeah. Bless. I said, okay, fair enough. She was like lost out there then. He said, yep. He said, with my daily walks, I've started to do shopping malls and food courts. And he said, I'm finding quite a few girls when I go to a food court here in Pattaya that I can sit down on my own with my books and start to eat, and they're all around the food court and they're smiling at me and catching my eye. He said, it's so easy. You just beckon them and they'll come and chat to you. He said, so I'm going through the food court customer stage at the moment, and the girls seem to be very similar to the girls I'm finding in the bars. I went, I wonder why that is. And he said, yes, I think they work in the bars at night and at daytime they're looking for customers. I said, okay. You've worked that one out? He said, yes. He said, but quite a few of them don't work in bars. They work walking around, freelancers. I said, and you like freelancers? Said, yes. He said, they're good. They're intriguing. I said, okay. Have you found a number 10? He said, no. I have only got up to about a number 7 from the food courts and from the freelancers. He said, however, I did meet a number 9. Okay. Where was that? He said, it was in a hotel. I went round the back in Second Road to a big hotel. Downstairs was a restaurant, an Irish bar type restaurant, and a girl serving in there. And I spent a little bit of money on her for a few days, and then she went out with me one evening, and she was amazing. Everything great, except, I said, okay, she was married. She didn't tell me till afterwards. I said, oh dear. He said she was a number 9. Bless. I said, oh well, so now you're going to be on a restaurant hunt. He said, I'm going to consider it. Maybe I'm going to start eating in restaurants in the evenings. Later in the evening, he said, I think it's a better time. I've got to work out the optimal time to find the right girl working in a restaurant. Okay, right. Strategies. But currently he's still doing bar girls and he's doing freelancers. He's doing food court girls. I said, what about the girls working in the food court? He said, I haven't had any luck with any of those. Quite a lot of them aren't that great looking. I said, okay. And what about the girls in the shops in the mall, you know, the little kiosks and things? He said, yes, some of those are very interesting. So you're still continuing and you still haven't found a number 10? He said, no, I haven't found a number 10. Okay. And are you still working in Vietnam? He said, I've done quite a bit there. Uh, we've got some work in Malaysia coming up, he said, so I've got to go south. Okay. I said, have you ever thought about looking for a Malaysian girl? He said, nah, not really. The Thai girl is definitely far superior than any other country I can find at the moment. He said, I'm sure I'm going to find the right girl to model. I mean, model, what's he mean? Make me love you. And we chatted and chatted, and well, he started showing me lots and lots of drawings. And as always, bought the mama son a drink, bought me a drink, picked one of the girls, did the sketch, chatted to her. The girls that he'd been with before told all the new girls in our bar about him. And the one girl he'd been with recognised him then and said hello. So he was going to work through our bar. And yeah, absolutely. But it's getting a bit sort of same, isn't it? He's just a guy doing lots of girls. And he fell out with Shop Girl, with the pretty girl. What's going to change? Is something going to get more interesting? Because it was, to me, it was starting to get a little bit the same. It was nice to see him again in our new bar. That was great for another customer to come in. But I was like, yeah, it is becoming the same. And it's like, it could be boring now. Leon could be turning into a boring person. Does something change? I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day. Stay safe. Bye-bye for now. Will he get boring? Boring Leon.